John DeBella, and this is your Classic Rock Update, brought to you by the premier Crozier Keystone Orthopedics Partnership. And we start out with a story we left you off with last week, and it has to do with Neil Young and the fire that was at his warehouse. Who caused the fire? Neil Young. Or not actually Neil, a car that he bought. You see, he had this, well, hybrid vehicle, actually totally electric vehicle, called the Link Volt. It's an old Lincoln Continental that has been turned into an electric car. Well, it seems that they were charging it, and, well, a fire started from that because whoever was charging it walked away from it while it was being charged. Now, Neil, who's very supportive of green initiative and hybrid cars and all that, doesn't want the car to get blamed, feels that the person who walked away was to blame. But Neil, let's face something. Even if the guy was there and the electronic fire started, it would be the car's fault. The Beatles are on iTunes! The Beatles are on iTunes! You would think someone found a cure for cancer over this story this week. The Beatles are finally available on iTunes. Now, it did take a real long time, but they wanted to make sure they sucked every penny out of every other way of getting money out of their music before they went to iTunes. So this past Tuesday, the announcement was made, and people can start downloading songs from the iTunes store. Now, the Beatles did very good. 16 different albums came in the top 25, although the highest they got was number 12 with the Beatles 1967 to 1970. But the Beatles are on iTunes! Hasn't your world changed? Contrary to the internet rumor, Elton John did not die from a massive heart attack last week. All of a sudden, this popped up on Twitter. Some fans said that Elton John saw a picture of some young singer who resembled Elton John. It gave him a massive heart attack and he died. Well, at that point, the internet took over, but it's totally untrue. And we happen to know this because just last week, Elton John was performing in this tennis tournament in Washington, D.C. But if the sight of anything was going to kill Elton John, it would probably be this picture of him at his Halloween party. Well, those who stopped by Woody's Roadside Tavern in Farmingdale, New Jersey last week got to see Mike Scialfa's band. Mike Scialfa is Patty Scialfa's brother and obviously Bruce Springsteen's brother-in-law. And on Thursday night, his band Timepiece was playing at the club, and who should show up sporting a farm coat and a baseball hat? Bruce Springsteen. They did a rendition of Mustang Sally, and Bruce was on his way, but everyone got the charge of seeing Bruce as a surprise guest. Billy Joel is a big fan of motorcycles, so much so he's got 60 of them. What did he do with his 60 motorcycles? He bought an old Ford dealership in Oyster Bay and now has them on display. It's a really great look at 20th century bikes. He's got old ones, new ones, all kinds of rare bikes sitting in this place. Billy says that on weekends there are a lot of Long Island motorcyclists with nowhere to go. So he said rather than aimlessly drive around the island, now here's a place that people who enjoy motorcycles can come and check out this collection. Along with the collection, there are old jukeboxes and lots of gasoline and oil company signs, just a lot of great nostalgia, all centered around Billy Joel's motorcycles. How's this for a Beatles connection? Emma Stone, you know, from Superbad and Easy A, Zombieland. Well, she's on David Letterman a couple of weeks ago, and she explains that she has gotten these tattoos that were designed by Paul McCartney. Her mother is a breast cancer survivor, and they decided to celebrate the fact by getting tattoos. And seeing that both of their favorite songs is Blackbird by the Beatles, she wrote a letter to Paul McCartney asking him if he would design the tattoo for her. Just a couple little bird feet. Well, Paul took the time and sent it off to her, and, well, they went off and got them. Now, I don't know if Paul knew who Emma Stone was or not, but if he went online and found this picture, it's probably why he made the tattoos.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Who's trying to pull him back in? David Chase from The Sopranos. You remember that Steven Van Zandt was Silvio on The Sopranos, and David Chase is the man who created it. Well, David is trying to make his directorial debut, and he's going to do it with a project that Steven came up with about a fictitious band called The Twilight Zones. Now, Chase, like everyone, agrees that if anybody knows about mid-60s rock and roll in this country, it's Steven Van Zandt. And this band is basically a band trying to make it at that time. And that is this week's Classic Rock Update, brought to you by the premier Crozier Keystone Orthopedic Partnership. I'll see you weekday mornings on the radio. Classic Rock 102.9 MGK. Grr.